Mr. Vega's on the left. The Vagrant, back in the shop. This thing, we've had nothing but trouble with the stupid hydraulic throw-up bearing. It's just a piece of crap. I've never had any luck with those things on a drag car. I don't know why. It seemed to work fine on a street car, but I keep blowing them up on a drag car. So what we've done is we've taken the candlestick off the tranny. We've taken the input shaft out of the tranny. We've stuck it up here in the bell housing. And I've put a standard clutch fork and a regular throw-up bearing in there. I guess you can't really see it. I've got well, it's a ram throw bearing made for this. And I'm switching it over to a slave. So what I'm doing, and here's the deal, like no pedal room. There's the clutch arm, there's the fuel pedal. So I've got to cut that down as short as possible so we can actually push the gas, which is the joys of a Vega. And I'm gonna rig this baby up. So I've got to measure from here to here. And I'm gonna make just a triangulated piece in there. We're gonna bolt this thing up in here. I'm gonna rig all this up. I'm gonna pipe it, do the whole thing. I do everything I can. I'll get it where I can push it right now, because I can cycle the clutch here, line up shafts in it, bearings in place, the candlestick's sitting there, the shaft's kind of holding it. So I get where I can cycle this pedal, and I can see how much ratio I can cut out of that bell housing arm before it gets too hard to push. And I'm gonna cut off whatever is sticking in the way up here. It's too dark, can't really see it, but there's too much shit in the way. You can't push the gas, so we gotta remove as much as we can. I gotta be able to put this floor hump back on once the tranny's in. So all the fun. But this is the plan, and I think this will resolve our major clutch issues with this car, because it's been, I mean, the clutch, everything works good, the car works good, you just can't keep a throw-up bearing in it, you can't keep a center bearing in it. So what we've done is we've converted to a Lenco center bearing, which goes into the next step of the crankshaft that's bigger. So we had to take this shaft and machine it. So now we've got this second step in it, right here. So this is the original bearing. This is the new bearing. It's a lot bigger unit, bigger ball bearing, the whole thing. The can has been dialed in center. And actually, I thought the center bearing had gone the last time when we were having trouble. It hadn't. The hydraulic throw-up bearing had blown all to pieces, is what actually happened to it. But anyway, we're resolving all the problems at once here. We're going to make this car where it's kind of a dependable race car, because it's been a pain in the butt for that part. Other than that, the car works awesome. So this is our current project. Here's what we ended up with. This is a mechanical arm sticking out of there. The world's shortest mechanical arm sticking out of a bell housing, which we don't need a whole lot of mechanical advantage on these slipper clutches. The pedal pushes easy with your hand. And then that pull slave cylinder is hooked up on there. Pretty simple. It's a crappy looking weld, but what are you gonna do? On paint underneath? I'm not super handy with the TIG weld over my head, apparently. But anyway, that is what we got. It works out pretty good. Simple Heim joint on the end, does the job. And that thing pushes nice, and we can have controlled air gap now. What we had before was this thing. Let me get that to focus. This is the standard. This is a ram part, and it's a ram hydraulic throw-up bearing, which that's what it looked like when I took it apart. My theory on this is these clutches, these slipper clutches, they have weights on the arms, and you actually sling those weights with the RPM. Add weight or subtract weight to make the clutch lock up at a different RPM. I think the fingers move out and your air gap doesn't stay the same. It's very hard to have a controlled air gap. And I think that's why it kills these. Whereas with an arm, I can easily control air gap. It's like these don't have a lot of stroke, is the long story short. So if you leave enough air gap to where it's never going to touch, you don't really disengage the clutch fully. Because this thing always ranked when you stuck it in gear. First reverse, it always hit. So now it's got a standard throwout bearing in there on an arm. So it's the same as anybody's mechanical clutch. And it works perfect right now. I mean, you can pop it into gear. It doesn't bang. It doesn't do any of the stuff it used to do. It releases very nicely. I'm super pleased with it. I think we're good to go.
Well, you got your brakes set. I got the brakes set though.
So Billy, publicly explain yourself. Hero to zero.
Yeah, that's racing.
Yeah, triple O to no go.
My car made 2 rounds tonight.
Well, Ty's could make 2 rounds. It actually made it to the end of the track. It just not well.